Yep. Hi, guys. We're live. Ha, we're here. I catch tiny fish. Zachary Redgrave. J-Dog 67. Lance Jones. Fat Andy. Sam Dam. Chevy Fish. Hi, Chevy Fish. Daniken Aquatics. Zachary Redgrave. Dwight Foot. Dwight, have I got some nice plants for you? They'll be coming out this week. You're getting a deal because you're getting more expensive plants at the old price because you were patient with me. So that'll be coming out this week. And Zachary, hi Zachary. WS Discus, twice. Clem Mahabir. Nice to see you all. Good to be here. I guess you heard about the little trauma we're having with Kim's fish tank.
Nice to see you all. Good to be here. I guess you heard about the little.
As it turns out, the people running the nursing home are very huffy about anyone going in or coming out, coming in or going out. So they have been unwilling today to allow us to bring a fish tank over for Kim, even though it's something she very much wants. So we're still working on it. She's trying to contact the owner of the nursing home to see if she can maybe get some help that way. It's staff that are causing the problem. Howard Van Tassel, hello, hello. Dragon Lair. Michelle SCP. Total Tropicals. So we'll see. Anyway, that was a lot of fun doing that original video, and then to get it kind of stopped. We did, with the plants we got from Dustin, we were able to dress it up though. So once we're able to get it in there, it'll be really spectacular. I wanted to mention something. I've had two people recently who have panned my channel and my technique. I mean, didn't just pan it, slammed it, buried it, consider it absolutely trash. And I thought about this for a while. And, I'm really open to criticism. I appreciate criticism because usually it's a way to see things that people who are being very nice and kind are not showing me. But in the case of these two, there was none of that. There was no attempt at constructive anything. It was just pure bad mouth. So I silenced them on the channel. I've done that 3 times and don't like doing it, but my rule of thumb is if this is someone who is not willing to learn at all, who's completely closed-minded and hostile, you got to be not only closed-minded, you also got to be hostile, then I'm not going to engage that person on my channel. I'm going to just keep them off my channel. So any of you who get the feeling real hostile and closed-minded with me, feel noticed. You may get silenced, get the silent treatment. I don't know what else to do about it. I mean, I could leave it open. But these are not people who, in my impression, are going to be open to any kind of real conversation, any kind of discussion. So anyway, enough with that. Cichlids 23, what are you referring to? Yeah, if you don't like it, don't watch it. True enough. Sounds like a millennial. Cichlid said, yeah, it does, doesn't it? I think it's probably a kid or some smart aleck who's convinced they know what they're the sole source of truth. Kay Holiday, hello. En septembre officiel. Ret Massey. Hi, Ro. Rattle Trap. Well, hello, Rattle Trap. You guys have been knocking it lately. Good job. William Jensen. Jensen. Now that's interesting. My very first girlfriend was Annette Jensen. Janssen, I believe was the pronunciation. Annette Janssen. And we went to two different colleges and two different parts of the country, and I couldn't tolerate it, so I stopped writing. This is back in the late 50s when you didn't call people much. It was all letters, no computer. Janssen, William, are you Annette's son or grandson?
I'm your dad.
Tell her I still love her. DMC Productions, a Sunday with Fatherfish. Life is good. Indeed it is. Nice to be with you all. We got Frank back here who's messing around with a bow and has managed to snap what he thought he was going to use to reinforce it. So I guess we're got through all the hellos. Let's see. Let's scoot to the bottom here. Redfish, bluefish. Now you've done it. Now you've done it. Redfish Blue says, no, it isn't Dragon Lair. The internet has only one expert, and I am it. And I will defer to that. Actually, I was one of the first to acknowledge redfish, bluefish expertise and deep wisdom and authority in the area of aquatic vegetation. Fanciest Tom is here. Ro is here. William says Janssen. Exactly. Nice pronouncing. William Janssen. William Janssen. Which reminds me, I got an email today about our Dutch gardener, aquatic gardener, about the book. I need to go back and look at that email again. Let me dig it out here. Ooby-doo. Tommy Denda sent me an email. He's got new material they want to send over, and I need to get going on the old material. Ready for new material, he says. So I'm going to say reply, yes, talking about you on live right now. Maintenant. I think this is one of the things I need to get cracking on. Need to get cracking on this week. Fish. Send. And back. Here we are. So Tommy will probably be showing up at some point. Tommy Denda. For those of you who are not in the know, Tommy Denda, who's in, I don't know where he is, Holland, I guess, found a book written in Dutch that is published in about 1850 by a gentleman who was one of the top horticulturalists in Holland at the time, who wrote an entire book on aquatic plants and setting up aquatic gardens, aquatic aquariums. So he's translating it and sending it over to me. And I have determined what I'm going to do is make videos of it and throw me that hat up there, Frank. Wear my farmer's hat on speaking on Dutch accent and read the book. And I need to listen to some accents again so I can get it back in gear. I've lost track. Anyway, look for that coming out when you least expect it. It'll be fun and should be out within a week or so. We'll start doing it. William Jobson, Total Tropical, send my greetings from northern Sweden. Awesome. And who's going? Rattletrap's gonna go eat. Nice to have you stop by, Rattletrap. I appreciate you. Is that the source the tropical posters are from? Interesting question. Well, they're Holland. They're from Holland. So not that specific source, but absolutely that cultural source. William Johnson is breeding his L333s. Very cool. Very cool. J-Dog started a sorority tank, saw a spot on one of the girls. Is 82 hot enough with Epsom salts? No, it's not. You need to go up to 85 plus, 85, 86. You can also put a little garlic in. That'll help. The Epsom salts will help. But you need to be 86 to kill the parasite. Rattletrap, you're in Central Florida. Huh. Like around Rattletraps in Central Florida. Did not know that either. Scandinavians pronounce J as a Y. My wife was Swedish. Yeah. Oh, omnipotence, drinking water or tap water for better fish. Drinking water, definitely. Try to get water with minerals in it. It'll hold the pH stable, and you won't have to worry about removing chlorine or ammonia or any of the other god awful chemicals they put in the water supply. So, and you don't need a lot of it. So it makes it easy to buy drinking water for bettas. And you can have it sitting around whenever you need to change the water, you just dump it out and put them in new water. Oh dear, Roe is saving up for a lawyer. I guess we don't need to know about that, do we? Oh dear. Select Pet is visiting Largo this week. That's a fur piece from here.
Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and a half. Where's
Oh,
Largo?
where you-
It's south, isn't it?
No, it's north. It's up Clearwater.
Oh, up around Clearwater. Okay. Just off the beach from Tampa.
No, east.
North of Tampa?
East. Or west,
East of
west.
West? Oh, west, right, of course.
So between Bay Pines and Clearwater. Same
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not too far. Give us a call if you want to take a ride. You come across the Skyway Bridge and you're almost here. Let's see. Fanciest Tom. Hope you're doing well. Like to know, why do people trim plants? What benefits does trimming provide? It's purely aesthetic. It's done purely to keep the form. It's like doing what's it called when you trim plants into shapes?
Oh, that's Pierre. Failure.
It's just a matter of maintaining the look, the appearance. Actually, it's not good for the plants because they become very stemmy. You wind up after a year or so, the plants have big, thick stems and are not bushy anymore. I don't trim. Plant haircuts, Jay calls it. Yeah, it's true. Redfish Bluefish is inviting us all up to Clearwater to learn about Scientology.
No, right now.
He says, but I can save you the trouble. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, they are crazy. They're also dangerous. Park Street Bus Station. What's the best way to prevent swim bladder and fancy goldfish? Mercy. Make sure, swim bladder is typically caused by an infection that closes off a very, very fine tube that runs to the swim bladder. So you keep them healthy is how you do it. I don't feed any food that can foul the water with my goldfish. I feed almost exclusively vegetable matter. A lot of duckweed, spinach, that sort of stuff. Jay has taken a break from trimming his trees. And Rose not sure about swim bladder. J-Dog drives here from Bradenton. Yes, indeed. Total tropicals. Rose says well water is perfect. Absolutely. The very best water you can get and use is well water. You don't need to do a thing to it. And if you're in a part of the country where your well water is very soft and acidic, use it and get your fish used to it. The principle is that your fish have to live in your water. So whatever your water is, unless you've got a fish that is so exotic that it's not going to live in pH over 5, then you really need to adapt them to your water. And the reality is that if you've got very hard alkaline water, any fish that you get locally is going to be in that same water. The same thing is true with soft acidic water. If you're getting fish locally, they're likely coming out of the same water. If you get fish shipped in from afar, you don't want to make the mistake of putting water or putting fish that are in 8.0 pH in 6.0 pH because it'll kill them. And the way it kills them, hi there.
On Monday.
You're going to call me on Monday.
I'm supposed to get the clownfish. Guess what? Termite guy come out to the house.
Yeah.
They tell him I have to fumigate my whole house because of these stinking dry wood termites. And then he saw my aquarium and said, "You're going to need to get the fish out of there too, by the way." So I figured I probably shouldn't call you to buy
all over again. I've got them coming in this week.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I just want to stop by and let you know I hadn't forgotten. I told you I was going to buy them, but I didn't pick them up.
Customers looking for clown knife fish. And I got 20 of them coming in this week.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, I got another termite guy coming out, so maybe
Week or two, couple of weeks. Cover your tank
okay.
with saran wrap
Okay.
and turn the pumps off.
Turn the pumps off. Yep. Yep. Okay.
And then once that airs out,
Yep.
you'll be okay.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll see.
Well, good luck.
Okay. Thank you, sir. See ya.
Take care now.
Straight well water has minerals. Typically, that's right. There is well water, like in the far northwest. There's well water that's often acidic. It's runoff from a mountain springs. But by and large, deep well water is aquifer water, and any aquifer water is coming out of limestone, so it's going to have minerals in it. And will be perfect, just perfect. Don't get in a position where you're freaked out about pH. Let me tell you a story. I had a customer years ago from Pennsylvania who wanted angels, and she wanted a large selection of very fancy angels. There were albinos and koi and veils and just probably 35 or 40 fairly large, very fancy, very exotic angels. So I got them. Took me a couple of weeks to get them all. Shipped them to her. She was stunned. And then within a few days, she was on the phone saying, "How come these fish are all bleeding? How come they're dying? What's wrong?" Well, the fish that we sent her were all fish that were raised in Florida. So they were raised in hard alkaline water. And she insisted that they be in soft acid water. So she dumped all of these fish in soft acid water. Well, I actually had at one point the breeder of the albinos call her and talk to her and try to convince her that she should stop dumping acid in her water in order to make it soft and acidic. She wouldn't hear of it. She wound up killing every single one of them in a matter of a week to 2 weeks. They were all dead. So I sent her another shipment with a proviso that she stopped trying to change her pH and use the water God gave her out of her personal well and put the fish in it. She promised she would do that. 2 days later, she called me and said, all the fish came in dead. So I have canceled my charge. She had used a charge card from Chase Manhattan. And she called Chase Manhattan and reversed the charge. Now, the law is, I shouldn't even say this, but the law is you can do that, and it's up to the merchant to go get their whatever it is that was sold. So I was out about $600 on that deal. And that's what killed Aquabid for me. That and the lawyer who just was as ornery and nasty as he could possibly be. That was a lot of years ago, before I had a shop. So I kind of learned a few lessons along the way. And the main one was this whole pH issue. When you're putting fish in a tank and your pH is 6.0, you better know what you're doing or you're going to kill the fish. I'm moving down here. Hat Trick Farm, hello, hello. Well, I hit the bottom pretty quick. Clem Mahavir sent an interesting observation. He says it's amazing when people buy fish and realize how big they can really grow for their tank sizes, since most local fish stores sell them young when they're very small. Yeah, it's really true. I have sometimes a very large collection of big fish, every single one of which I get from people who can't handle them anymore. In fact, I had somebody call me this week about an arowana, an 18-inch arowana, and I quoted them a figure over the phone that was too low, and I think they were disappointed and probably are looking for somewhere else to place it. But that was kind of stupid on my part, because I really would love to have a bigger arowana. The problem is I can't get big bucks for fish like that. A fish like that, I could maybe get $150 for. And I offered them roughly half of that, which is about what it would cost me to buy one at wholesale. So sometimes I guess you just gotta let things go. But yeah, fish do get big. Couple of things about that are interesting. Fish all fish never stop growing. As they get older, they may grow more and more slowly. Typically, they'll increase girth as they get older, and their length will slow down. But fish do not have an aging gene. They don't get old. Their cell structure doesn't break down from age. They die from disease, starvation, bad water quality, genetics. What else? There's got to be a fifth there. Predation. That's what kills fish. Theoretically, a fish can live for absolutely ever. A fish need never die, except that at some point in its long and treachered life, it's going to run across something that it simply cannot overcome. And the most common is the tiny little nematode, the little parasite that worms its way in, builds its colony, reaches a stasis with the fish where it's barely surviving, providing nutrition solely for those parasites, and eventually just kind of drifts away into parasite la la land. Boy, you think that tastes like it's got gasoline in it. Root beer. Ugh, from McDonald's. Ugh. What else we got here? Somebody says they could sure use a fifth about now, Jay. Well, can't help you there. A fifth of what? We don't want to talk too loud about this. I have a friend who's been on the wagon for almost a year and doing really well. Oh, you got me. Should we feed or betta food the volume of their eye every 3 days, or what is the best way? I like to feed my bettas once or twice a week, and I try to feed them live food as much as possible. It seems to give them more stamina and vibrance. I find if I do that routinely, they're flaring all the time. Their colors are strong. They just seem to be really, really healthy. If you overfeed, they tend to become lethargic. And I think that's why a lot of people, their betta's not very active, sleeps a lot because they're overfeeding it. J. Rowe says, I don't drink anymore. Yeah, me too. And J. Rose says, I don't drink any less. Right. Too time consuming. Indoor fishing. Indoor fishing, you sent me an email about natives. And I need to get on that. Frank's our native collector. And I do have your list. Let me see if I can find this. Frank, I got this really cool email. somebody talking about natives. Try to find it. Oh, Tommy's back. Setting the introduction at first chapter this week. Cool. Where is this? I hope I didn't trash it. Marcos, here it is. Oh, Marcos Barrera. Talk about Pseudomugal, Gertrude ricefish, and Melatonea pygmae, which I've never had. Well, so I'll work on it indoor. See what we can come up with. Psychedelic hippocampus, I guess, is leaving. I never saw him arriving. Hello and goodbye. Native rainbow darters, oh boy, such pretty fish. Chubbs has 6 different natives. We got a bunch of them here. Ooh. Clem says exactly, Father Fish. From my observations about fish growth, the girth and size seem like they do keep growing. Have some fish now over 5 years old. All fish are mortal. I didn't know that. Select that. Yeah, it's true. Absolutely true. Don't chase pH. Michael Koenig, here's the argument saying don't chase pH. Yeah, the reason is really quite simple, and that is you can never duplicate it. You can never hit that same pH time after time after time if you're adjusting all the time, because it's in adjustment mode rather than stable mode. The water coming out of your well, out of your tap, stands a better chance of having a stable pH than anything you can do to create it. So the segue, what types of fish is pH important to? Well, any of the fish coming out of the jungles, native species, in the Far East, like the licorice gouramis, I find that there's several species of fish that seem to just do better in RO water. Curiously, I keep my bettas in RO water. Strange as that may seem now, it's really not. The truth is, I never change the water, and when I add water, I add RO. So I'm maintaining the same level of hardness. It's not getting progressively harder. Killies, some of the killies. I've got a bunch of pan checks coming this week, I believe. If this order comes through, we're going to have a really cool box opening. I've got a lot of really wonderfully exotic fish coming in. We're starting to get shipments finally. The fish coming, I'm trying to remember the names of the islands off the coast of Malaysia. Terrible getting old when your brain doesn't work anymore. The water in some of these streams is 5.0 or lower, and they like the chocolate gouramis is another one. There are a couple of different species of chocolate gourami. The only way I'm ever able to keep them is in salt acid water. They just will not hold up in hard alkaline water. The licorice gouramis I mentioned is another one, and those are families of fish. They're not just individual species. Batis. I keep batis in salt water. I keep clown killies in soft water. They just seem to somehow do better. Now, I don't necessarily lose them in hard water, but I can go back and find them a month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months later, and they're still going to be there. And that's rarely the case if I put them in hard alkaline water. So you have to kind of, they're fish that for the most part are not bred in captivity but are wild caught. Any of the wild caught species from like Borneo, for example, are going to be soft acid water fish, and they're not going to do well in hard alkaline water. So, that is to say there are species that you've got to be sensitive to that are coming out of environments as wild animals, wild caught species that you simply can't throw into a pH that's dramatically different from what they've come out of. But again, it's primarily a matter of wild caught fish as opposed to domestically bred fish. Zachary wants to know what medicine I use for sick fish. I don't use a lot. The one medicine that I use that tends to be effective is triple sulfa. The sulfa drugs that contain both a positive and a negative gram effect. They kill negative and positive bacteria. Other than that, I kind of got away from using the dyes like malachite or methylene or even acroflavin. I find acroflavins good if you're having trouble with egg production fungusing. It'll control it pretty well. I rarely use salt because my water is already very hard. Temperature works really well for parasites, but not really well for bacterial infection. The triple sulfa is my go-to choice for bacterial infection. And keep in mind if you have fungus, you have fungus because there's dead tissue. The fungus doesn't grow on live tissue, it grows on dead tissue, and that tissue dies from bacterial infection. So fungus follows bacteria. If you got fungus, you treat for bacteria. There are a lot of medicines out there that are antifungal, and that's kind of meaningless. They need to be antibacterial, and in truth, most of them are just advertising based on ignorance. The ignorance of the customer, not necessarily the manufacturer. Let's move along. Fish growth. Indoor fishing, asking about rainbows and rice fish. I do have rice fish coming. I think they're daisies, though, which you said you had. I do have some oddball rainbows. Dooby-doo. TDS 900, holy cats. Who is this? Mojtaba Ma, TDS 900. Never heard of such a thing. How can I add minerals naturally to my shrimp tank? I don't access to good quality brands. My local water is too hard. I use RO water. 900. Where are you from? Where do you get water like that? And what can you add to RO? I'll tell you what, rather than add to RO, dilute your native water with RO. Dilute it 3 or 4 parts RO to 1 part native water. And that should give you exactly what you need. Do I ever, Zachary, interesting question. Do I ever sell a fish to someone with my local, well, wait a minute. And then I lost the comment, but do I sell a fish to someone and afraid they're going to lose it? Here it is. Get scared they won't take care of it. Yeah, I do. And what I do about that is I talk to them about how they have their tank set up, because I know if they set it up with sand and some kind of enriched substrate, they're not going to have nearly the problems that they will with gravel. Once in a while, I will refuse to sell a fish to somebody who has a gravel tank, but only because they're killing fish and are not willing to make the change. Generally, I can kind of bully them into making the change simply by adding sand. And that typically resolves the issue. I do a guarantee. I guarantee everything I sell unconditionally. If it dies in the first 2 days, I assume full responsibility one time and one time only. I do not guarantee replacement fish. So if a person comes back and the second fish has died, that's when I really dig into their system and talk to them about how it's set up and what they've got and so forth. Mahatma, I have PRI do mix. I've previously mixed water to reach TDS about 100. Yeah, that's going to be the simplest and best solution. Dragula, water between 290 and 390. Yeah, mine, I use the wastewater from my RO system for my freshwater tanks, and it's about 400. So it's pretty hard, but I don't have a problem with it. Rose asking Mahaba what kind of fish shrimps he has. Dragula, need to buy distilled water and mix with your local. Yeah, same difference. Or if he's got RO. What are we doing time-wise? We got a few minutes left. Do I advocate botanicals, i.e. catappa leaves for health? Do I advocate them? I don't have a problem with them. I tend not to have them available. So once in a while I'll have some and I'll sell them pretty quick to somebody who wants them. But it's not something that I routinely use. Now I've got a couple of tanks. I have one large 200-gallon blackwater tank that has a lot of decaying vegetable matter in it. It's pretty tannin and pretty healthy. I have some other RO tanks set up with that I'll put oak leaves in occasionally. I don't mind using it. I kind of like using it. It's not anything that I routinely have access to, so it's not anything that I try to. I haven't found the need for it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I certainly don't have a problem with it. Yeah, 900, that's wild, isn't it? Kay's talking about Mahatma's hardness. Here's something interesting. Doesn't gravel help get the fish poop down into the sandbed? You want to do a thin layer of gravel on top of the sand? Yeah, that's fine. Although sand does every bit as good a job. The waste product is pretty fine material, malm. It's very, very fine. And if your sand bed is deep enough, it'll go down into it pretty easily and pretty quickly. The gravel will take a larger particulate matter. The difficulty with gravel is that it can trap food, which can rot and create a bacterial problem in the tank. So I tend not to use it. I did find a bucket of the little tiny river gravel, and I put a thin layer of it in part of Tim's tank today. I just really like the look of it, but it's important not to do it deep. If you do it deep, you're going to run the risk of creating a bacterial problem which is why you do sand instead of gravel to begin with. Dragon lair. Tannic water has fulvic acid, stimulates the fish's immune system. And other components are bactericides. Right. I almost never have a bacterial problem. I lost a fish this week to a bacterial problem. It was a fairly large sailfin goby or sailfin shark, about a 6-inch one. I've got 5 of them or 4 of them, 3 left. I'd been treating it pretty consistently. I was able to get rid of the initial spot, and then it got onto its tail and just tore it up and wound up killing it. That's rare. I almost never have a bacterial problem with my fish. I attribute it to the deep sand bed that's able to trap bacteria and trap the stuff that bacteria grows on down under the substrate and keep it there. So my water is really pretty clean and pretty clear. I also have a fair amount of plant material, so I'm sure that plant material is helping as well with the tannins and providing some bactericidal activity. Priscilla from Iran, Habaz. Oh, Mahatma's in Iran. Huh. That's interesting. Pure redline crystal shrimp. Like Rose saying they like softer water. All right, I think we're about there. Somebody just sent me $10. Who did that? Indoor fishing inside with a good information. Let's see if I can get it. Can I post it? Thank you, Indoor Fishing. Way back up here somewhere, I guess. I'll have to skip over to there it is. I'm trying to get you posted and it's not coming up. Thank you, Indoor Fishing Inside, for your $10 donation to the cause. Appreciate it. And Toronto Aquatics has posted $2.79. Thank you, Toronto Aquatics. Nice to see you. Chevy Fish is telling Mahatma to Mojtaba to test the water sample. And Jordan L is saying don't boil or bake rocks. Rinse them with H2O2 peroxide. Alice is here. Hi, Alice. Cichlage 23, I collect river rocks and then boil them when I get home. I guess my feeling about that is I like to introduce native creatures into my tank. And sometimes those native creatures are not very nice, like dragonfly larvae. But generally they are. And so I would, if I got rocks from a creek, I'll go and put them directly in the tank because I know they contain little worms and other critters that are going to be beneficial to the substrate. My rule of thumb is that for every 1,000 good critters, there's one bad critter. And I'd rather give the 1,000 good critters a chance to overwhelm the bad critter rather than kill them all off. How do I know which rocks are aquarium safe when I go rock hunting? Well, put them in a bucket. There are very few rocks that are not safe. I wouldn't put ironite, although it can hurt. It just creates more iron for the plants. I don't know what I would not put in. Something that would contain oil or some other natural organic toxin. That wouldn't be good. But that's pretty rare. Dragon lair. What's he referring to? Vinegar. Rose using vinegar. So mild acid. Let's see, a real risk. Jordan Ellis says there's a very real risk of some rocks exploding if you boil or bake them. Too true. And they can explode violently and maim or kill anyone or destroy your cookware or oven. Yeah, if they've got air locked in them and you're heating it up, that can create a bomb. Rose saying my shrimp love the wild plants and rocks straight out of the creek. And that's kind of the key for me. You know, these are animals that in their natural environment are living with all the stuff that you can find out in a creek. So why not give it back to them and give them the chance to be able to live and thrive in a more natural environment? Thank you, Jordanella. Chattanooga Ed is here. Hi, Chattanooga. J-Dog. Keep my pH 7.2 to 7.4. Can't tell which. That's adequate. And Vince says, hello, everybody from Alabama. Chevy fish. Smell the shell in case there are dead remains in it and rinse it. It will change the chemistry of soft water, which slowly over a long time will dissolve it. Yeah, any kind of like snail shell or mollusk or anything like that. That's true. Thanks to our moderators and Father Fish for taking time out to do this. Thank you, James Green. Jordanella, I started my Daphne colony from scooping some water out of a local fishless pond. I have to go back and get some scuds too. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're not going to find them in a pond that has fish in it. They chew them up. And we are out of time. So thank you all for plugging in today. It's been fun as ever. Look for a couple of interesting videos this week. I'm hoping to get a really nice shipment of fish, and I'm also hoping to be able to get that tank delivered to Kim. If we can't do it, I'm going to have to come up with an option for it that'll be of equal import. Jordanella says, enjoy the rest of the weekend. We're going to be going out collecting on Wednesday, so we should have fun on Wednesday. Look forward to getting back together with you. WS Discus is using crushed oysters. Always helps to kick up that hardness. Thank you, Kay Holiday. Bye, Clam. Nice to be with everybody. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Everybody say goodbye. 4, 3. Rose going to start doing live streams. Great. Yeah, I'd love to join you on them. I'll try to keep track of it. 3, chat. Thank you, chat. Nice to see you. 2, appreciate it, Jordanella. Indoor Fishing Inside, thank you again for your generous donation. I do appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Bye, Howard. Bye, Ro. Thank you, Ro. Call me. Take care. Love you all. See you on Wednesday. Bye for now.